With the recent release of the newest addition to the FNAF franchise, there have been many people racing to beat the hardest difficulty as optimally as possible. Some have even tried to increase the difficulty even further. Don't ask why. However, in my previous livestream, I did neither. Rather, I attempted to get an ending that I had no prior experience achieving on a difficulty that meant any and all mistakes were fatal to a run. The game's difficulty is comprised of two major elements, those being audio cues and RNG. The former is self-explanatory, being that you can hear footsteps from animatronics in adjacent rooms. This will allow you to know when an animatronic is in a room next to you, or if you can actually exit the door safely without being chased. There are a few other notable audio cues, but the footsteps are arguably the most important to keep track of during your run. I'll explain the RNG aspects as they show up in the run, as there are quite a few of them and it'd be easier to just show them as they come up, rather than waste time talking about them here. Whilst I could keep talking about the mechanics and stuff like that, I feel like I'll be holding too much time in the intro for that. Rather, I'm going to explain them as they come up in their respective nights. With that being said, it's time for us to get into the first day and life cycle of the Nightmare Mode run. Just like most other FNAF games, the first night is used as a tutorial to allow you to get used to the controls and mechanics that become a vital part of the later nights. Of those mechanics, the map is the first to be introduced. The map is very useful for new players who are still adjusting to the layout of the pizzeria. However, once you have a good enough idea of where everything is in the pizzeria, it becomes very unlikely that you ever have to use it. The pit itself is introduced soon after and serves as a portal to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. It is your only way to and from said location. Upon entering the pizzeria, if you're going to get the true ending, I recommend taking this opportunity to knock out the first secret minigame, as it requires you to interact with the gumball machine next to the employees only door 100 times. Once you enter the minigame, all you need to do is collect all 5 items in the room to your right. This will repeat 5 times, with the 6th time being the one item you need to collect to beat the minigame itself. In total, there are 3 secret minigames and 1 in-minigame secret that you're going to need to get the 3-star ending. I'll explain each one as they're being played. After completing the minigame, I immediately sped through Chip and Mike's dialogue, completely demolishing Mike and Pizza Roller, of course. However, if anyone was wondering, no, unfortunately there's no Steam achievement for beating Mike and Pizza Roller. But you still get bragging rights, and if that isn't a win, I don't know what is. After beating Mike and Pizza Roller, I decided that hiding inside a ticking death trap of a suit would be a great idea for a game of hide and seek. And let's be honest here, it was. That was until this little gremlin wannabe showed up and forced me to hold my cancer in the lungs for 5 seconds before nearly passing out. And then the usual happened. The children spotted a furry and they were all righteously scared for their lives because they didn't want to catch whatever furry-ridden disease that gremlin was carrying. But all jokes aside, I do honestly want to take a moment to admire how well done the artists for this game. It's pretty obvious that a lot of hard work went into making these sprites the best they could, and honestly, I love the direction they took. I mean, just look at that guy! He was definitely going to try to kidnap me, so I thought it was a good idea to follow him. That being said, I grabbed the stool and... Considering that I just worsened this thing's brain damage, I thought that it'd be a good idea to jump back into the ringworm-infested ball pit as an escape plan. Unfortunately, my dad had the same idea when he saw my face, so... kinda hurts. I pulled my dad back out of the ball pit and contemplated my life decisions before realizing that something was off about my dad. Apparently, the ball pit wasn't only infected with ringworm, but also some sort of furry plague, and my father had just caught it. He ended up taking me back home, where I decided to double check to make sure I wasn't seeing things. And sure enough, when I opened the door, there was a furry in bed. I immediately decided to call my mom and tell her that she's been dating a furry for over a decade. She seemed pretty concerned over the phone and said that she was coming home right away to file for divorce papers. Once she got home at light speed, I confronted her about the situation and she called me delusional while sending me back to my room. So just like any child who doesn't think that life is treating them right, I decided to sneak out of the house in the middle of the night to try and get ringworm again. But let me take it back a step really quick to explain something. Like I said before, there are numerous RNG related factors in this game, and the one I want to take a bit of time to explain now is tripping. It can happen randomly when you're running and it will cause you to become stunned for a short period while you just pick yourself back up again. This also creates noise that can alert the gremlin to your location. That's where the force tripping technique comes into play. Basically, by sprinting while spamming left and right, you can force yourself to trip and make noise, repeat this 3 to 4 times and you'll alert the gremlin to your location, allowing for a noisemaker-free diversion that can be done anywhere, anytime. Now with that explanation out of the way and the insanely poor visuals, I think it's time to go back into the ringworm pit. Once we make our way back to the past, we notice that some kid managed to get himself trapped in an endoskeleton. Somehow, he got there and was uninjured. However, to get him out of the endoskeleton as it's a requirement, unfortunately, I would have left if I didn't have to, we had to get a screwdriver from backstage. To get backstage, we're going to need to take out the trash for Jeff, because he's obviously too lazy to do it himself. He also ends up giving us a flashlight that will allow us to hide underneath tables and stun the gremlin. Other than that, it can allow us to steam dark rooms much easier. However, there is a Steam achievement for not using the flashlight other than in hiding, and that is the achievement I was unintentionally going for this entire stream, so it didn't make the game much harder, but it didn't make it much easier either. Whilst on our outing to the mill, we end up picking up the puzzle matrix. This will allow us to repair one of the arcade machines in Jeff's Pizza. Don't worry, there will be an hour-long minigame montage soon enough. We also found a rat trap that will be useful for a later night, as we're going to need it to lure Jeff away from the kitchen. Unfortunately, since the child is not dead yet, we still have to save him, so we head back to Jeff's Pizza and enter the pit again. We then head backstage to get the screwdriver and unscrew the kid. And with the kid safely out of the pizzeria, that brings day 1 to an end, as we're soon after chased by the gremlin out of the pizzeria and back to our home. Starting day 2 off strong as we're immediately greeted to a PTSD flashback of seeing our dad getting turned into a furry. However, we wake up soon enough to find out that this was just a dream, and that everything is fine. Unfortunately, it's not that simple though, as we go to the dining room and find out that Dad has just adapted his new fursona and even bought a fursuit to go along with it. Not wanting to deal with the consequences of our actions, we decide to leave home without eating breakfast and head out to school to officially start our day. Oddly enough, during recess, we see a kid with firecrackers, lighting them up and exploding them. The teachers seem to be doing nothing about this, so this must be a common occurrence. After we are dismissed from class, we decide to go look for the firecracker kid and see if he can obtain some goods. He ends up offering to meet up with us at the library. However, we will not be able to meet up with him until night 4, as the library will always be closed and he will not be there until then. After exiting the school, we spot a girl getting picked on by some bullies. She ends up handing us a sketchbook filled with info on how to deal with each animatronic. It also will contain the stickers we obtained in the arcade. Other than that, this girl is pretty useless. She won't be any use for us for the rest of the game. After that, we head back home and plan our escape route for the night. We end up deciding that the safest option is to act like all teenagers do by unscrewing our window first and then jumping out of a 2-story building. We then make our way back to Jeff's Pizza to do some arcade repairs. The first machine we repair is called Hefting with Healthy Leads and can be repaired by using the weight resistance mechanism. This part can be found in Oswald's basement from night 1 onwards. Another thing to know about this minigame is that it's probably the easiest one to farm tickets on that you're going to need for the 3-star ending. In total, you need 100 tickets, and you can get around 10 plus tickets per attempt on this minigame. Oh, and yeah, buff healthy. Overall, I give this minigame around 8 out of 10. It's pretty fun, and it's also a good challenge. However, it gets kinda boring after a bit. The next minigame on our list is Rescue the Children. This can be repaired by using the token slot. Said token slot can be found in the basement of the old pizzeria in front of an old arcade cabinet. The minigame itself is pretty basic, being very similar to games like Pac-Man. This minigame is also really easy to beat, and it doesn't really reward much for doing so. I'm not saying it's a bad minigame by any means, but it also doesn't make itself stand out. Overall, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Next up is Solve the Puzzle, and it can be repaired with the aforementioned puzzle matrix. This is the minigame that I'm probably the worst at, and my previous PB of 6.5 minutes shows that perfectly. There isn't really much to say about this minigame other than the fact that it's just a reskinned sliding puzzle and can be beat with the usual techniques. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10, just because I always enjoyed these as a kid, even though I sucked at them. After finishing the slime puzzle, I decided to take a break from the arcade machine and continue progressing through the night. That wasn't until I saw the gremlin camping my task for the night and decided to do what any gamer would do when you see a woman. I noped the hell out of there and went back to my video games. After consuming mass amounts of copium, I decided to repair the next arcade machine. Collect the hats. This minigame can be repaired with the control panel, which can be found in the party hallway sitting on a table. While you're in the room, I recommend picking up the power supply from the trash can next to the door as well. This game took me longer than I would like to admit to beat, but that's just mainly because it's like a platformer. There's also a required secret for the 3-star ending in this minigame, which requires you to collect the 6th party hat that can be found by phasing through the left wall on the second platform. Once you collect the hat, you can walk back towards the exit and never have to touch this minigame again. I'm giving this minigame a 4 out of 10 because this is fun to play at all, but it's far from the worst minigame because at least it controls relatively well. On we go to the next minigame, Shoot the Space Balloons, which can be repaired using the electron gun. The electron gun can be found in the storage room on one of the shelves next to the TVs. And And oh boy, do I have quite a few complaints about this game, but I'll try and keep it short just by briefly listing a few issues. The controls suck, the game is repetitive and dull, and the turn sensitivity is both too little and too much at the same time. To save you guys from a 2-hour rant, I'll just stop here with the complaints and just give it the rating of 2 out of 10, as the art isn't that bad, and it's probably the only saving grace in my opinion. Moving on to a slightly better minigame, that being Deliver the Pizza. This machine could be repaired using the aforementioned power supply that you found in the trash can. Whilst this game is legitimately just Crossy Roads if it was pizza flavored, I feel like the nostalgia for me is what put it up higher on the list. I could see it getting quite repetitive after a while, but when I was playing it, I really enjoyed it. And for this reason, I'm going to be giving this minigame a 7 out of 10, because it's definitely far from perfect, but it was really fun nonetheless. Next up on the list, we have Pizza Roller. This can be repaired by inserting your balls into it.
I don't think you can say that, sir.
Alright then, how about this? Pizza Roller can be repaired by inserting someone else's balls into it.
Bruh.
That's not any better, sir.
Alright, fine. Third time's a charm. Pizza Roller, insert balls in it.
I quit.
9 out of 10. Alright, minigame montage over. Time to get back to the actual gameplay. Once I get back to the pizzeria, I noticed that the gremlin is still in the back room, and he's just standing there. Like, this is actual footage of the night. I was just standing there watching him for good like 5 seconds. He wasn't doing anything. With that being said, I decided to try to lure him out by force tripping. Lucky for me, this ended up actually working, and he left the backstage, allowing me to actually do my task. So, after the gremlin left my site, I returned your guys' site by turning the power on so you can actually see what was happening in the game. With all that being said, it's time to add a new threat to the night. But what if I said that this new threat was actually a blessing in disguise? Here, let me explain. Chica basically functions as a walking noisemaker. If she sees you, she will alert the gremlin to your location. But even so, the gremlin will not arrive immediately, and you'll still have around 5 to 10 seconds to react depending on where he is. Now, you may be wondering, how is this a blessing in disguise? Chica just seems like a nuisance. Well, whilst Chica can alert the gremlin to your location at a bad time, more often than not, Chica can be used as another noisemaker, except unlike all the other noisemakers, Chica cannot be broken by the gremlin, and she can move to different rooms, allowing for a quick and easy way to get his attention. With that explanation out of the way, the next task on our list is to catch a rat in the rat trap that I picked up back at the mill. Although I made a stupid mistake and didn't notice the gremlin knocking on the door before I put the trap down, I ended up having a near-death experience that had me shaken for the rest of the night. I probably should mention that the gremlin can and will kill you mid-animation while jumping into the ball pit. With that scare out of the way, I eventually regathered my confidence and went back to grab the rat trap. I decided to let Mickey Mouse loose on an unsuspecting customer for no reason other than pizza! After distracting Chico with the pizza slice, we rescue Mike and rub our previous victory in his face before getting manhandled by a giant yellow rabbit. And with that out of the way, we officially bring day 2 to an end. Day 3 marks the halfway point of the game and the hardest night there is. After this, the nights will get easier with 4 and 5 being increasingly easy. So once we beat this night, we're in the green. The school portion of this night is relatively unimportant. That is, other than the voucher validator in the second classroom and the sticky hand you can get in the principal's office. Once we return home, our escape attempt is almost cut short by the gremlin who was hiding around the corner waiting for me to arrive. Luckily, we managed to escape safely. Once we enter the pizzeria for the day, we are tasked with finding a way into the arcade. This is where the sticky hand will come in handy, no pun intended. We'll be using it to open a vent and take out a key that I guess was always in the vent for some stupid reason. Once we enter the arcade, we are swiftly greeted by Bonnie tying a child to a whack-a-mole machine. With that being said, we were given the task to find a way to distract him. This can be done by repairing the guitar backstage with the string you can find in the mill. Unfortunately for us, however, we were caught while scavenging the trash and made fun of by a wild Dylan. After that traumatizing experience, we head back to the pizzeria and repair Bonnie's guitar, only to realize that we don't actually know how to play the guitar. With that being said, the distraction still works nonetheless, as both the gremlin and Bonnie are lured to our location. Just when we think we've made a safe escape, Bonnie decides that he's now identifying as an ankle biter and grabs our ankle from within the vent. So like any sensible child who has shoved themselves in a vent both backwards and upside down at the same time, we kick the ankle biter until he surrenders. We flee to the arcade and untie Chip, whilst the other animatronics are distracted trying to regain their hearing after hearing my god-awful music. However, to our dismay, our sappy reunion is cut short as Freddy has heard a lot worse music in his time, and is unaffected by my bad playing. He also brings the gremlin with him. We quickly take refuge in the nearest vent and do our best to swat some spiders while keeping our mouth shut so the gremlin doesn't know where we are. After the gremlin is out of sight, we make a mad dash to the ball pit and end our work for day 3. This night is very short compared to the others, but it's still difficult if you don't know what you're doing. Day 4 is the true final hurdle, as Day 5 only consists of one chase scene and a few quick time events. So the first thing we need to do is grab the Freddy mask from the attic, as we'll need it to trip Jet. Jet will then give us the firecracker. We'll need this to distract Freddy in the office. With our trade out of the way, I want to take a moment to explain why it's so important that you do the trade out of order from what the game originally intended for you to do. On an average playthrough of Day 4, you're required to go to school, return to the pizzeria, encounter Freddy, go to the library to trade Jet, and be brought back home by your dad. Being brought back home will require you to use your final escape route, which usually is the ladder, and this can be very dangerous for a nightmare run. However, if you decide to go to the library to trade with Jet before going to school, you can get the firecracker and skip the Freddy encounter, allowing you to get to the office without having to return home first. With yet another explanation out of the way, we head to the school to get bullied by the wild Dylan from Day 3. Unfortunately for the wild Dylan, however, our PTSD kicks in and we were mistaken for Freddy Fazbear, and decided that once he turns into a 6-foot metal animatronic, it's the best time to fight back. With one Freddy Fazbear out of the way, we go forward to deal with the next one, the real one. But before we could do that, it's time to repair the final arcade machine. Keep in mind, the entire arcade can be repaired by night 3, but the way I played wasn't exactly optimal, even for a successful nightmare run. The final arcade machine to be repaired is called Fast Food Invader and can be repaired with the Space Age speakers. The Space Age speakers can be found in the arcade next to the slime puzzle cabinet. Fast Food Invaders is, as the name would suggest, a Space Invaders clone, and as such plays almost identically. So considering that there isn't really much to say about it, I'm going to be giving this game a 6 out of 10, as it's relatively fun and has decent replayability. After finishing that minigame, I head to the ball pit and prepare to meet with Freddy to explode his face. Also, we managed to pick up Dad's name tag right before we tracked Freddy. I'll show the locations of the other items on night 5, that way you can see them all at one time. With that being said, we plant the firecracker and wait for the victim to set it off. As we enter the office, we notice a girl who is curled up in the corner of the room. Next to her is our dad's wedding ring. She says that she won't leave until she knows the gremlin won't attack her and is out of the way. As such, we are told to look for him on the cameras. We also find out that ankle biters aren't the only ones that we need to worry about, there are also camera biters as well. We are given our next task of distracting the gremlin. After doing that, we return to the office and are prompted to check the cameras to see where the girl went, only to realize that she already managed to get herself caught. Most likely because I did end up leading the gremlin to the only exit of the pizzeria. My bad. As we enter the kitchen where the gremlin brought her, we find her stuffed in a freezer and a family vacation photo. I also forgot to mention that we ended up getting the ticket counter before finding the girl. This will allow us to completely repair the arcade and get the prizes from the prize machine. Another thing I forgot to mention was one of Dad's items on Day 3. It was called a photo of Oswald and could be found in the storage room from Day 3 onwards. With those items I forgot to mention out of the way, we finished repairing the arcade by using the voucher validator on the prize machine and the ticket counter on the ticket counter. We were then greeted by Jeff, who was surprised by all of our work and rewards us with a coupon for a discounted pizza. Next up on the list for the 3-star ending is gathering 100 tickets and using the ticket counter to turn them into 5 vouchers. 4 of those vouchers will be used in Jeff's Pizzeria to get the 3 stickers and the game device, whilst the other voucher will be used in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria for the secret minigame. The secret minigame could be done before you get the mallet from the arcade, which can be used to open the freezer that the girl was trapped in. To activate the secret minigame, just use your extra voucher on the prize machine. For this secret minigame, all you need to do is collect all 6 balloons and then enter the room below Golden Freddy and to the left. Once you enter the room, you'll be greeted with an end screen that is based off the short story from Fazbear Frights called Fetch. With that secret minigame out of the way, that leaves only one minigame left, which has to be done on night 5. We then grab the mallet and shove it in the black hole that we call our pockets. We proceed to the freezer to see if the girl is still alive, and luckily for us, she is. She escapes, but we get manhandled by the gremlin and have to run away. Our escape marks the end of night 4 and the beginning of our final challenge of the game. I'll show you the location of all Dad items during night 5, as all of them can be collected during the safe portion of the night where you cannot be attacked. The 5th day is the final day and leaves us with only one final challenge before we secure the run. Of course, this challenge I'm referring to is a chase scene that has you going from the office in Jeff's Pizza to the nearest hiding spot in Freddy's. With this being the final challenge, I was stressed out, worried that I might lose the challenge at the final hurdle. But regardless, I didn't let my fear get the best of me and decided to take the risk and run. With the stakes at an all-time high, all I had left to do was pray that I didn't trip or misclick and not enter the room correctly. Once I entered the vent by the office, all that was left to do was succeed in the quick time event and then wait for the gremlin to leave. And I think my reaction afterwards speaks for itself, so I'll let it play out. Yes! 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 Once everything calmed down and I felt safe to leave, I headed backstage to retrieve the party room key code from the mess of animatronic parts. If you're going for the 3-star ending, it's very important that you make sure you have all 5 of Dad's items before entering the party room. I'll list their names and locations now. The first item is Dad's wallet, can be found night 1 onwards backstage. The second item is a photo of Oswald, which can be found in the storage room next to presents on day 3 onwards. The third item is a family vacation photo that can be found in the kitchen next to the freezer on day 3 onwards. The fourth item is Dad's wedding room, which can be found on day 4 onwards in the security office next to the grill. The final item is Dad's name tag and can be found at the bottom of the storage day 4 onwards. Upon entering the party room, you were greeted by a girl who was locked in there for who knows how long. Upon the girl leaving, if you have all 5 Dad items, there will be a photo on the ground you need to pick up for the true ending. After picking up the photo, we enter the vent and find our Dad tied up. Unfortunately, as soon as we untie him, the gremlin returns and we're forced to hide and watch as he's taken away again. But this time, will be different. The gremlin has taken our Dad to the ball pit, but there is one thing we need to do before we can save him, and that is the final secret minigame. You're going to need to head over to the gumball machine where you did the first secret minigame, but this time you need to call your mom. Upon doing so, the minigame will activate. For this minigame, all you need to do is put the dolls together, and once you do, you'll have completed all the secrets required for the 3-star ending. All that is left is a quick time event and a cutscene. With everything out of the way, it's time to rescue your Dad once and for all. Come on! Come on! Come on! Yes! Yes! No way! No way! That no way that just happened. And with our Dad finally safe, that marks the end of the game, and we get to have a meaningful conversation with him and enjoy a good pizza with our Mom and Dad. And for those of you who stuck around to the end of the video, I greatly appreciate it and I hope that I can continue making high quality content in the near future. With that being said, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day!